bunch of profit coming in. So when they lose, it could possibly end up coming out of their pocket to maintain the place, and it could be scary for them that they could lose the place or whatever, or something that they're counting on for retirement and that sort of thing. And I do sympathize with those people. I still don't agree with that relationship, but so then you in those situations you're pitting one person's well-being against another person's well-being, and that's not a good relationship either. So you got to take that entire relationship out of the equation, so that you can have secured housing for an individual where they can feel comfortable and safe, and be able to make it work without somebody fighting you for it. And you can work on things when they're not, because it's not a profit model. Say a co-op could decide that extra funds are going to go in to make sure that if somebody can't pay their monthly payment, that the bill will be paid, or have a rainy day fund for any damages or anything that happens, and decide how they're going to use it together as a community. And I can't see a better way to have your housing conditions, especially if you're living in an apartment size unit. So I'm gonna go now to Ben Stuckert. He, in the middle of all of this, so we had the landlord. I'm sorry, I ended up talking too long again on one topic, but so they had the landlord meeting. A lot of landlords complained about a lot of different things, and we haven't had the tenant meeting yet, which is on Wednesday. And this morning I wake up and somebody says, "Hey, did you see what Ben Stuckert posted on Facebook?" And I'm going to read it now and then kind of give my thoughts. But and I'm not going to read his whole thing. He has a blog attached to it too. And I don't want to get into that, because then I'm attached to the wrong one right now. I don't want to get into the whole thing and try to read the whole thing, because it's going to take up too much time. Took me a second to spit that out. So he says, "Big agenda at council tonight. I'm bringing forward a resolution to allocate $2 million from strategic investment funds to further our secure housing programs and goals. The resolution: 1. Funds $1.3 million immediately to creating affordable housing units with the goal of assisting tenants to move towards home ownership." That's excellent. My response to that is that affordable housing should be public housing, and that the move towards ownership should include co-oping all these buildings that are going up for sale. If landlords say that they can't make a profit with running an ethical business, then they should get out of the business and sell their units to the tenants. That's how it should work. Tenants should get first option to buy, and we should support their loans when they are trying to get through. So the building should be bought by the tenants, and we should have a program to assist them, to show them how to run their co-op. 2, adds $225,000 to create a rental relocation assistance fund and programs to assist tenants with relocation expenses when they are displaced at no fault of their own. We see the immediate need for this program, and with a really sad situation happening right now at the Academy Senior Home. I'm not sure what's going on at the Academy Senior Home. I probably should have looked in. I didn't even notice that before. So rental relocation is basically, when somebody moves out, typically if landlords throw somebody out without just cause, or because without a perfectly just cause, if they throw them out because they want to renovate and they're going to change the living quarters, that sort of thing, then they have to pay $2,000 to move them out. Now, the concern here is that he appears to possibly maybe just want to use tax funds to push people out. And what we've asked for is that say you take that $225,000, that's good. What we want is, we do want relocation assistance. We want it to come out of the landlord's pockets, however. And the reason we want assistance from the state is so that they can give the $2,000 to the tenant, and then the state can, or the city, the city can then collect the $2,000 from the landlord at a later date, because it could take months for a tenant to get the $2,000 that they deserve to move out. And in the meantime, they're just floating around without a place to live. So that's what the emergency funds that we've asked for are for, not just to supplement for the landlord and put more money and more tax dollars into the landlord's pockets. Okay, so number 3 adds $225 to create a landlord mitigation fund and program to provide property owners resources to help them expand rental opportunities to homeless families in our city. Boston has created a great model for this type of program. You can learn about their innovation program below. I don't know much about this this program in Boston. I just know that one of our concerns is that a lot of these things seem to be a supplement for having just cause eviction, and just cause eviction is number one priority right now, because not only do tenants need that protection, and not only is it right, but they need the opportunity to organize or to report health code violations and that sort of thing without fear of retaliation from the landlord. And they say, oh, we don't do that, blah, blah, blah. And they shouldn't have to pay for just a few landlords. But say it's just a few landlords and they do this. It's still a few landlords that are doing this and harming people. And if you don't do it, then you don't have anything to worry about. So why are you complaining? So just recently, we had another George Janoski, Southside Investments tenant, who had reported bed bugs in his building, and the next thing he knew, everybody in the building got kicked out, and they don't really have an explanation other than the bed bugs are the reasons they were all kicked out of their house. So his building had bed bugs, and it's their fault, and everybody needs to get kicked out. So it was some form of retaliation. I don't know if he knew exactly who had reported it, but he kicked everybody in the building out. Number 4, funds $250,000 for the support of the city's Envision Center. Spokane is one of only a few communities to receive this project and designation from HUD. The goal of this program is to help our HUD-assisted families achieve self-sufficiency. Okay, sounds good. Also on the agenda tonight is the adoption of the 2019 budget, which will hopefully include an amendment brought forward by CM Beggs to fund a project position to help us kickstart the Sustainable Action Committee. We will follow up the budget vote by voting on the resolution to place a public safety staffing levy on the ballot in February. See you there. Okay, so I want to get into, I'm not seeing it now. He had a blog posted somewhere. I wrote a response. Maybe this is it. Yeah, it must be this. Nope, this is not it. I'm starting to think he might have deleted his blog. I don't know. Maybe it's on the. He has, I think, like 3 Facebook pages now because he's going to be running for mayor too. So let me see if I can just find this right now, and I'll try to just kind of ramble to you a little bit while I'm doing this and see if we pull it up. And here it is. I found it. Congratulations, Jeremy. So he has a blog, and basically a lot of his solutions are good. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but he seems to have taken note of what has happened in Minnesota, where they have dezoned or rezoned single-family neighborhoods. Basically, single-family neighborhoods were put into place kind of to uh, eliminate the possibility of black people moving into white neighborhoods, and it's kind of archaic. And I think it's not just black people or minorities, but also just poor people in general. They didn't want poor people moving into the neighborhood, and a lot of these things are more of a class class issue that disproportionately affects minorities because of a long history of abuse, and the fact that many white people got a leg up with things like a GI Bill and, back in the 1800s, giving property, just land, in the West, and something that other people, minorities, didn't get. Only white people were allowed those privileges. So a long history of just a step ahead, a long history of affirmative action for white people. And so there are disproportionately less poor white people. There are more poor white people, but it's disproportionately less. So he made some good points there. I think that sounds good. One of the things I was concerned about was he wanted. Well, hold on. Let me just. I'll tell you what. I'm gonna dive into this one. He says we must continue the successful targeted investment program that has led to the revitalization of the East Sprague Avenue area. There are several neighborhoods on the verge that could use the extra boost. In 2019, where should we consider the next targeted investment program be implemented? Now, to me, that sounds exactly like gentrification. You look at some of the neighborhoods here. I was here a few times when I was a kid. I got a lot of family here, but I didn't spend a lot of time here because I wasn't very familiar with that family. So when I was here, Brown's Addition was a neighborhood that was a poor neighborhood. It's not anymore. The Perry District was a poor neighborhood. It's not anymore. There are coffee shops, pizza shops, microbreweries, yoga studios, pretty much everything white, gentrifying limousine liberals, latte liberals, who move into these neighborhoods and really don't think about the consequences that it has on the people that live there. They just think that they're fixing up the neighborhood, but they're really shitting on the people that lived there and pushing them out into further corridors, worse neighborhoods, further out, making their commutes harder, especially when it's poor people. You end up making them have to catch buses, longer rides, that sort of thing. Now, in Spokane, we're barely have any real gentrification. And I'm from Seattle, which is, it's not even recognizable anymore. It's some like future just shithole. I mean, like, it's so sanitized and just gross. Like, everything that had any culture or any love in it, anything that was Seattle is gone. There's a Target at Pike Place Market. There's Ballard, the old town Ballard working class, like, is condos, and it's just shit. It just looks so stupid, and it doesn't fit with everything that I've ever known about the city that I grew up in and the city that I loved more than any other place on the fucking planet. And I hate it now. It's just disgusting. I fucking can't stand the place. I still love a lot of the people, even though most of them are transplants now. Like, I prefer the people over there compared to a lot of the people that I've dealt with in Spokane, and all the people that, everyone's Facebook page has a picture of them holding a dead animal or something. I don't know. But so it sounds like gentrification. East Sprague was like, I mean, it's like what Aurora used to be in Seattle. And Aurora